we have to get out of our own way, really show up. And part of that showing up is making commitments. And if people aren't in a situation to make larger financial commitments, then you make other forms of commitments. You find people to build those commitments with, which is kind of like the space that you're creating. What kind of commitments can I make for myself that force me to grow? Eighty percent of the content I create is all free content. And then 20% is paid content. The way that I'm able to do that is that my 20% isn't cheap. I'm able to create products, services, and opportunities for people who can afford them. And in a beautiful way, they pay for me to create free content.
That's so beautiful.
Right? It is beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's fun communicating that too with the people I work with. It's like, because they've enjoyed my free content for a long time. They feel good about, paying up now and going a little bit more deeply. But to communicate that, it's like, well, why are the prices what they are? Well, look at how much free content the world gets, right? That's why. Yeah, that's part of it. And that's why I think it's so important to charge accordingly and to not be afraid of asking for money so that you can keep doing the thing that you love doing. Because here's the thing, if you just waited to get paid, you wouldn't create much content. Like in the beginning when I was doing Satsang, I can't even tell you how many free sessions I did, like so many. And even I'd fly around the country and sit with 2 people, right, to do Satsang. But the point of it is, this is what I love to do. And even though I'm doing it for free, I'm getting better at it. What was technically free was me investing in myself. And that's a beautiful way to interpret it, rather than interpreting it as other people should be paying or other people are taking advantage. It's like, no, this is my education. You're helping me get better at what I'm doing by giving me feedback. And so there's an exchange there. And then also, as you create lots of free content, that's what grows your audience as well. Yeah,
that's definitely ahead as well, to keep creating content for people to engage in. Maybe not initially. Would you suggest starting with just creating a lot of content for people to, maybe that's a good idea for people to connect with what I'm even about.
Mm-hmm. Especially because you're not under financial stress. I would remove the initial goal of making money and just do radical research. But in your research, you're creating content. You're sharing what you're learning, the problems you're encountering. You're sharing about the conversations you have with people. You're sharing about why this is exciting to you. And that's going to build momentum. And this takes time. But the key to it is just being consistent.
Yeah, I think that for me, definitely that's the key. And for me, the key is to keep committing to that decision that I'm doing it, because I can create, a few posts and then I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just coming back to my little shell. I'm just wondering how can I make sure it doesn't happen again?
Yeah. We still need to circle back to that.
Yeah, it's still on the table. It's completely still on the table. But yeah, I guess when I'm committing to something, like I've committed to, speaking with you today, it made me create the whole website that I created. And made me really rethink the whole thing. Not perfect, but that's super, super valuable to have that motivation, that commitment. And that's actually what I want to offer people as well, the commitment, so that they have, let's say, a accountability body that they commit to doing, however much progress in their project.
I mean, from a business standpoint, that's the service that I provide, is for those people who are ready to commit. Like, I'm giving free content, and it's super helpful. But then there's people who, just like what you said, it's like, gosh, I really got to commit. And you know what the best way to commit is? Pay a lot of money for something.
That's also true. That's also very true.
Yeah, it's like saying, okay, it's time. I'm all in. Let's go. And it's really fascinating. And that was my own experience. Some time ago, I was really struggling and trying to understand the business aspect of what I'm doing. And I spent years trying to do it on my own. And I ran a unrelated business before I started doing this that was relatively successful. But then switching over to this, what the hell? It's like, I couldn't get it to work. And I got so frustrated, so in pain, that I reached out for help. And someone offered to help me, someone that I really resonated with. because he didn't bullshit me. He told me things I didn't want to hear, but I was like, you're right. And then he told me how much it was, and I said, you're fucking crazy. And then after thinking about it, it was like, you know what, you're absolutely right. So I jumped in, and it absolutely transformed my experience. I showed up like I never showed up before, quadrupled my income in like 60 days. It absolutely blew my mind. And I'm like, okay, now I get it. It's like we have to get out of our own way, really show up. And part of that showing up is making commitments. And if people aren't in a situation to make larger financial commitments, then you make other forms of commitments. You find people to build those commitments with, which is kind of like the space that you're creating.
Yeah, I think that's a great, paying for something is definitely a great way to commit. And also having a bunch of people scheduled for, a monthly membership, that's a commitment, because if I already have these people sign up, then I just have to do it.
That might be something to explore, is what kind of commitments can I make for myself that force me to grow?
Yes, I've started connecting more with just friends that are also interested in creating something, and we actually do very tiny versions, like 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 versions of this, and we commit to showing something more in 2 weeks, showing something more, and that's really helpful. And I want to offer it to more people because that's really helpful.
Exactly. See,
that's already an experiment going on. Actually, it is.
That's the whole foundation of being a solopreneur, which is you discover something that's helpful for your own experience, and then you can share that same help with other people.